Well, a very good evening and welcome to this edition of Breeding to Win. It's a special edition. We're going to be focusing on stallions. We're in the early stages of the breeding season. Obviously, a couple of foals already on the ground, but obviously it's time for the breeders to sit back and have a look at the stallions that are available to send those mares to, and a lot of freshman sires coming into the market as well. So the next two Breeding to Win shows will be focusing on stallions and hopefully assisting you with your mating plans. Let's get straight into the show, but before we get into a stallion, Andrew Bond was up at the National Yearling Sales and he managed to catch up with Henning Pretorius. Now he's the new man who's in charge out at Summerhill Stud.
The daunting aspect of the 2020 renewal of the National Yearling Sale was that there were always going to be very, very good horses on offer. But with the economic situation being what it is and with COVID-19, were there going to be the commensurate buyers? Is that more or less the thinking that the board and you had as the CEO of the TBA?
Absolutely, Andrew. I think we were all very nervous, or certainly I was, and nervous on behalf of our breeders, because we just don't know what to expect in this market. Obviously, there was quite a considerable number of withdrawals from the sale. Again, I think people were nervous to spend the money, travel their horses all the way to Joburg, not knowing what was actually going to happen, what the sort of depth of the buyer's bench was going to be. That definitely made certainly myself and I think a lot of the breeders very nervous. And I think the big thing as well was that the new initiative from BSA, having the online bidding platform, or bidding lounge if you want to call it that, had so many people able to literally bid in real time, talking to an auctioneer, or rather talking to a bid spotter in real live time and being able to bid like that. And that was very, very successful.
In many ways, what you have done at the 2020 renewal of the National Yearling Sales is lift the spirits of people, buyers, owners, trainers, breeders alike. And you've bought Hawam, full brother, from Wilgeborgsdrift. It's a fairy story for many people, but more than anything else, we would like to say congratulations for making a line in the sand for South African breeding and racing.
Andrew, yeah, thank you. Talking about the full brother to Hawam, it was not even something that I was dreaming about, because ultimately you would think the sheikh to buy a horse like that, you would expect that horse to leave the country. It was a bit impulsive, but when I saw the opportunity that I was actually going to be able to buy him, it made me very excited. It's a super horse. Fantastic breeding, and that's what horse breeding is about. It's about genetics. It has a super mother, and that's something that I've learned from the warm blood breeding. You know, that's what success in horses is about, is quality in the dam line, and you can't get better. That just motivated me to carry on until I got the horse. And I expected someone else to buy the horse, not me. So you can think. I am, a little bit overwhelmed, but that is the way I want to enter thoroughbred breeding, is by accumulating top genetics for the mares that I would be looking for, so that one has an opportunity to produce what's needed. Firstly, to be at these kind of sales, and secondly, to be competitive. Because the bottom end of the market, unfortunately, is not where we want to be.
The most remarkable thing is that we are sitting in a place that has been a champion breeder for many years, for at least a decade. And behind you is the first unraced son of Northern Dancer ever to come to South Africa, a horse called Northern Guest. Now, he was the granddaddy of them all in South Africa, champion broodmare sire. And this horse that you've acquired now, he doesn't even have to race to be a stallion. Rainbow Bridge, Golden Ducat and Hawam already stamp him as a stallion, and I'm sure that was factored into your bidding.
The exciting thing for me is that he would be the only stallion in South Africa out of that dam line, because two of them are gelded and the third one is leaving the country. So he will be the only one that has the opportunity to become a breeding stallion. If he makes it in racing, obviously he needs to race. To prove his quality. But as you say, and Manfred was saying the same thing yesterday, you don't even have to breed him, to race him. He's got everything it takes to make him a top sire. But yeah, we know that ultimately we would like to prove that.
You know, obviously Henning is the new custodian of Summerhill. There's so much history and a legacy from the farms, Summerhill and the Hartford farm, from the days back of Mowgli and the Ellises, and the fact that Summerhill under McGoss's custodianship had 10, not quite consecutive, but 10 Breeders' Championships. So there's a huge legacy there for the thoroughbred industry in South Africa.
And a big responsibility.
A huge responsibility. And, you know, not knowing, Henning obviously is a horse lover, but his background is warm bloods more than anything else, and not knowing what his real thoughts are behind the thoroughbred breeding side. It was very, very encouraging. Obviously he's offering boarding to thoroughbred mares that want to stay on at Summerhill. He's maintained some of the stallions. But to see him actually invest and support the industry as a new breath of fresh air, as you say, a new person, new money coming into the game, is really, really encouraging. And I think it can only be positive for the industry as a whole, and certainly for KZN breeders, because if he's going to look at having that caliber of horse potentially standing as a stallion at Summerhill and investing in good bloodstock, which I think is his intention, to build up and bulk up what's already there, I think it's going to be very encouraging for the industry as a whole and for KZN specifically.
But the gut feel that you possess as a leading seller and leading breeder of warm bloods, that horse sense and that horse knowledge told you that this horse is very well conformed with his superb pedigree.
Under an apple tree you find apples. When you breed from a mare like that, you can only expect quality. And it's not a difficult decision to make, and you don't need to be advised to know that, because all the information is there for any person to make a very simple decision. It was all about price. You know, would one afford him, or would there be stronger buyers that would take him away from South Africa? And gladly the horse can stay here, and let's hope it all goes well in his training.
Well, we're talking about staying here. It is your philosophy that breeding warm bloods, they need time. It's a completely different philosophy to the one in Europe. You give your horses plenty of time on the farm to grow out and for their knees to close and all the rest of it. And I gather from our behind-the-scenes discussions that this will be the case.
Look, I know very little about thoroughbred racing, but ultimately, you know, you want a horse like that to mature before you take everything out of him, and make sure that he's well developed and he has the opportunity to grow. But ultimately I've got to be led by the experts, and I will definitely get the right advice. But firstly he's going to Summerhill, and from there we'll make a decision what happens to him going forward.
There's a lot of respect in this game. There's also a lot of jealousy. It just goes with success. But the one thing that we do know is that Robin Bruss bred Do It Again amongst many other horses, and he has a very small band of broodmares scattered around South Africa, but his philosophy remains the same, and that is an attractive one.
Yeah, it's something to learn from, obviously, but that should be the rule for any breeder. The problem is people sometimes try to take shortcuts. See a nice horse and you think you can breed from it. And it goes for any sport, whether show jumping, horse racing, dressage. You have to have it in the breeding. Otherwise you can't expect the performance.
We talk about blue hens. I would gather that it's probably the same in show jumping. Do you have these blue hens like Halfway to Heaven that just keep on throwing you horses like Don Camarco, for example?
Absolutely. You have to make a proper study of the dam lines, because you will find that two full sisters won't give the same results. The one sister would breed all the performances, and the other one would breed nothing. So even though, you know, they are full sisters, and people talk about half sisters and things like that, doesn't count. You've got to breed from the actual horse that produces the goods. That's the X factor, And that's the challenge, is to find them.
Well, if ever I've seen X Factor, it has to be the embodiment of just about near perfection with Halfway to Heaven. You send her to Silvano, you send her to Ideal World, you send her to Philanthropist, and she just delivers the goods. I mean, that's freaky.
Yeah, you know, first I heard about the full brother to Awam, and then I learned about his mother. I didn't know his breeding until I got here. When I saw it in the catalogue, I knew where the quality came from. On top of it, it's a Jetmaster mare who is the champion brood messiah, and that is even more important for me.
I think a lot of people don't actually realize that even though Jetmaster won 8 Grade 1 races from 1,000 meters to 1,600 meters, that he only had about 70% of his wind, which is also scary to think that a horse could have been that good, but could have been even better.
Yeah, well, the story about Jetmaster is also something that's very new to me, and it's a very interesting story, and a very successful story, and ultimately, yeah, that's what I've learned in the few days that I've been involved in this whole action.
Okay, what else have you bought, and what were your motives for buying the other horses that you have acquired?
Firstly, Andrew, I think it's important. When we look at the top stallions in the country and we look at the situation in Natal, it's important that we find substitutes for the better stallions in the Cape and stand them in Natal for the Natal breeders. I think that's one of the motivations that motivated me to do what I did, with the plan to have a stallion that not only I can breed from, but that's also available to the Natal breeders. Something with real quality. Now, Trippy Son that I bought with a lot of quality out of a top dam line. And it's the same story. You know, it's all about performance in the dam line. The filly, she comes out of a top dam line. I don't intend to buy fillies and having to race them. My aim is to find brood mares, black type brood mares, so that I can breed from them. But this filly was just something that was in my face the whole time. And looking at her superb dam line and the performance in the dam line, it's something that one could invest in.
And on top of it all, you have luminaries, people that have really been in this game for a long time and know exactly what they're doing, in Drakenstein and Main Chance Farms, chasing the same blood.
Unfortunately, yes. Yes, unfortunately, you have people that were desperate to buy both these horses, and unfortunately, I was the one that was a little bit more motivated.
There's so much to talk about, but I have to try and ask you what it feels like inside, the adrenaline rush. Because it's easy to write out that check when you know that there's equity in something. But this calculation inside that head of yours must have told you that it was something that you just had to go the extra mile for.
One thing that I have learned is breeding in horses. And for me, it's a new project. And that's the most excitement that you can have. And that's what really drives me, is the fact that it's something new. People must always have something, to live for, and have some motivation. Now, there can be no more motivation than this. But we're looking forward to the coming season, and there's a lot of interest. So hopefully, going forward, we will see more performance from these stallions. And again, it's not about my breeding; it's about supporting the Natal breeders. And let's hold thumbs.
The glorious feeling that we as city slickers get when we drive around those hallowed grounds of Summerhill, because however you look at it, it's been a place of great joy, of great success, and you must be very proud, very pleased, very excited about waking up and driving around this beautiful property, improving it, making little changes, putting the Henning Pretoria stamp on it.
It's a farm with a very good feel to it. Several legacies. And the challenge is to keep these legacies going and to write new history and to do things that continues the legacies that exists. And I think that's the challenge. But it's a nice one. It's a beautiful farm with a very good feel to it. And it's nice waking up there and seeing the surroundings and the mountain and the mist and the frost and whatever. Yes, it's a nice one.
These horses that you've acquired, they're coming back home to be under your BDI, your staff, to grow out, to mature. It must be very exciting to know that you're in charge of their destiny from here onwards.
Yes, that will be until they start their racing career. But fortunately, I do have the facility to accommodate them, and it would be nice to see them, on a regular basis, and to see them adapt and develop. But ultimately, they've got to go to a racing yard.
And that decision will be taken in time to come, or have you got some broad brush strokes as to where you think they're going to end up?
No idea at this stage. It's something that I need to be educated about. It's an important decision because that will ultimately determine their future and their success.
Hy sal dit wees, soos hy lyk. Hy's sterk gebou, skouers, lekker sterk skouers. Nee, ek dink hy sal 'n goeie raciepaard wees. Ek weet nie wie gaan hom afrig nie, maar ek dink daar wat hy gaan sal hy 'n goeie geaardheid hê. Want by my wat ek bewys, hy het 'n goeie geaardheid wat hy by my gewees het. Ek kan vir jou sê die tyd in April maand was hy nie so perd soos hy nou is nie. Hy het baie verbeter in hy kan ek sê daai 3 maande se tyd het hy baie verbeter. Nou, ek voel nogal wat kan ons doen? Was dit mos hom kom afgee. Nou was maar nog net die prys betaal daarvoor, maar ons het 'n goeie prys gekry vir hom. Dit kan ek nie klaar voor nie. Maar hy's 'n goeie perd, 'n goeie perd.
Very exciting stallion here in South Africa is a son of Dubawi. He's called Erupt. He stands at Main Chance Farms, and Fiona catches up with Justin Vermaak.
Erupt stands at Main Chance Farms, and we've spoken to Justin Vermaak many a time about him, and he ticks all the right boxes. He's a smashing looking stallion, but we're just going to get a quick update from Justin again this morning. Morning, Justin.
Morning, Fee.
As we know, Erupt, as we've said before, he ticks all the boxes. He's well bred, he's a beautiful looking stallion, and everything is just in the right place about him. But got progeny on the ground already, and they look fantastic as well.
Yes, very good, as we've touched on, and obviously he is getting his new foals this season. We already had, I think 3 days ago now, his first new foal from Frequent Flyer, who's the dam of Flying Free, who's now racing as Bear again in Hong Kong. She herself was multiple Group 1 placed in the paddock stakes and races like that, so already new action with this crop, and obviously now horses have just turned yearlings, as in last weekend, and he'll have his first yearlings at the sales next year, which is very exciting for us. And just covering a high group of mares again, we're getting all the bookings through, obviously. As we touched on the last show, he'll be at 25,000 all live full fee this season, and the quality of bookings have been fantastic. I know Brian Finch, who under his Ditro bloodstock operation, they have a phenomenal strike rate of, if you look at the average rating of horses they breed, he's done very well, and he's sending the mare of driving Miss Daisy and that good Kirari filly made in Hollywood. So he's going to get good support this season again in his 3rd year, which is always vital. So very happy with where he stands at the moment.
Yeah, and I think if anyone sees, has seen his first progeny, and as you said, they'll be yearlings now, they're good-looking horses, aren't they, with plenty about them, plenty of depth, and they really do look strong types.
Yes, typical of Dubawi, a little bit of belly and when they're youngsters, and very scopy, very quality-looking horses. And Erupt's got, I think Main Chance seems to have the Midas touch with their stallions. If you see on their results this year, all 3 of their active stallions, when I say active, I mean active with runners on the ground, were champion stallions in their categories, which is phenomenal. Kirari being champion 2-year-old sire this year, Vercingetrix was champion 3-year-old sire, and obviously Silvano again being champion sire. I think Erupt has big shoes to fill. But Andreas and the farm are very particular when they stand horses, and they make sure that horses have all the right credentials. And you can see it from the stallions that have stood at that farm in the last decade or so and more. And the success rate of their stallions is phenomenal. So Erupt has got big shoes to fill, and he's been well supported. So hopefully he comes out and he does it.
Yeah, he is certainly standing at the right place, and as you said, well supported. But I like what I've seen so far, and we wish you all the best of luck with the covering season. And of course, the sales coming up, that's going to be really exciting to see those yearlings sell.
Yeah, it is. He's going to have, Dubawi does get horses, and his son do get horses that come quite early as well. He's not just a horse who gets them over a long trip, he gets them over mixed distances. We've seen his son, Night of Thunder, throw a lot of good 2-year-olds this season. And last season in England and all over the world. In fact, he shuttled as well. He's got a lot of stakes horses in Australasia. But we'll try and give it a nice mix. Obviously, you want to send those earlier born horses that look a bit more forward to the January sales. And then obviously the later Johannesburg sale for more classic types as well. So we'll try and allocate a nice mix. And it's not far away now. It's a couple months, 5 months or so until we head to CTS in January again. So it'll be very exciting to get the horses there.
And it was so good to see, talking about sales, the BSA managed to pull the National Yearling sale off, obviously later than we were expecting, but it all went very well by all accounts, I hear, and the online bidding and Zoom bidding really worked well.
Yeah, it was good. It was honestly a surprise, I think, to most people that the average was down, I think, 7% on last year. Most people were expecting a lot worse. It was obviously helped by the fact that there were some real big prices. I think if you take the top 5 lots, which aggregated about 17 million, if you took them off the results, the average dropped to just under a shade under 200, which is still fairly good. So it was a remarkable sale. The results were unbelievable, and this industry has proven to be resilient year after year. And very good, because I think we needed that boost, and the breeders were very worried going into the sale, obviously, and I think they came out happier, more happy than not.
Yeah, I think it's put our minds at rest, because going forward for the Cape Premier Yearling sale, the national sales next year, it is just around the corner, and we still are in this pandemic, and hopefully now we will get the buyers, whether they're there in person or whether it's online, and it does work.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't at Joburg, I was here at home doing it, so my assistant was there and she was looking at horses and doing the bidding and that type of stuff. But I know a lot of, I think we bought 8 horses or 9 horses. And I know a lot of other owners I was dealing with at the time were at home bidding on that interactive platform, and very happy with it. So I think that's going to be the way forward. And it's going to help people, because owners like to bid on horses sometimes themselves and get involved in the whole social aspect of the sale, and they can't always be there. So it's nice for them to be able to sit at home and do their bidding that way. And I think it was a success, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to Erupt selling in those early sales next year, whether it's online or at the sales. But we wish you all the best with Erupt on the farm this year and his coverings, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new foals as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Justin. Well, Erupt stands at Main Chance Farms. You can get hold of Justin Vermaak or Tim out at Main Chance if you're interested in covering with him. But he is a super looking stallion. He's very, very well bred, and we know he's got a good race record as well.
Well, we all visited Winterbach Stud and we had a look at the new sire that's going to be standing there. He's called Talk of the Town, very aptly named as well. But the two resident sires standing out at Aventure, well, they are no less than VAR and Oratorio. They've enjoyed a very purple patch at the moment. They've been throwing winners out each and every centre. And Pippa tells us more.
Never a dull moment here at Aventure. Pippa had a successful sale selling her lovely draft, and of course she's foaling down already as there's a few foals on the ground. And more importantly, we're here today to talk about her stallions because the covering season is just around the corner. Pippa, firstly, well done on a great sale.
Welcome back, Fee. Yeah, it was successful. We accomplished what we needed to do, which was sell all 13. So good luck to all the buyers. It was interesting times, but quite a good camaraderie at the sales, and I think it all went off amazing well. So well done to everybody pulling it off because it was a mammoth effort.
Yeah, and you had a lovely draft. I'm glad you sold well. And of course, as I said, you're foaling down now, but it'll soon be time to start covering, and you've got 3 lovely stallions on your hands.
Yeah, 3 to look after this year and manage. 1 obviously not on the farm, Talk of the Town, but yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, it's always an exciting time. It's quite a stressful time until you get into the flow, but come November you're sort of in the groove. But you've got to get going, and we're on our way with some few falls already. So
yeah, and VAR and Oratorio, you must be so proud because they finished 5th and 6th on the table of top breeders for the year, which was wonderful. And I mean, VAR at his age to still be there is quite incredible.
Yeah, you know, I think VAR age is obviously, you know, Silvana's also an old bully, but for VAR to hold his own like that, I think, as you were discussing earlier, is amazing because he's really at, you know, 1,000, 1,200, maybe 14. There's so few races with huge, not that any stakes are good at the moment, but generally those miler plus races where the big money is. For him to hold his own on stakes is phenomenal, and he's done it year in and year out, and we look forward to hopefully getting a few more mares and foal to him this year. But he has a few health issues with a leg that bothers him, but he's in fine form other than that.
And Oratorio, of course, he's been setting the tracks alight and doing really well, and as we spoke about off air, we're only going to see the best of him a bit later on probably.
I think Oratorio's been actually handled a bit of a raw deal. I mean, if you look at his percentage winners to runners where he stacks up against the big boys, he's a top 5 sire in South Africa, and no surprise to me. I think he has winners, he has group winners, he has group 2 winners, he has 3 group 1 seconds this year. It's just a matter of time before he really is accepted, but I don't actually know what more he must do. So there are many stallions that have been through what he's got to go through. So the shareholders have got to step up to the plate again. His sales was good. He does battle in the sale ring a little bit, but I think maybe we don't send him the right mares, so I'm not going to knock him. We've got to think carefully of what mares to send him. His children around the world get better as they get older, so I think we'll see progeny of Oratorio for many years to come in group races, and they sound strong, hard-knocking horses. So I've got no doubt he'll still continue to hold his own. I just wish that you know, the breeders would be more acceptance of him and learn to mate him well, because actually, to be honest with you, we're making the mistakes, not Oratorio. You know, he's a son of Danehill, and you've got to mate him accordingly. If you send him the wrong mare, you will not get what you're looking for the sale ring. Come the sale ring, you always knock Oratorio, but maybe you should sit back and say, you know, maybe I sent him the wrong mare. So I'll try and help as many people as I can to help them find the right mare for him to get the right specimen. But you know, some breeders, you know, not going to listen to what I've got to say, but we'll do our best.
But VAR and Oratorio have obviously proved themselves, and what are we looking at stallion fees for those two?
So Oratorio, we've got a special this year. You know, it was very hard to set his fee, and the syndicate are wise to the fact of the industry in a bit of turmoil and stakes wise. So we've set him at 20 live foal, which is a phenomenal deal for a stallion of that caliber. So we're hoping to get him a nice book. I know the mare numbers are down, but bookings are coming in. VAR is private, you know, he's mainly only for shareholders. But if somebody's got a really special mare there, I'm happy to talk and see if we can find a way of, you know, servicing that mare. But for his leg, it's an issue to decide how many mares to give him. So at this stage, it's mainly for shareholders. But if there's a special mare, give me a call. We'll try and make a plan.
And talking of VAR, we've got the son of VAR, Talk of the Town, who is the talk of the town, as we always say, and he was very well received at a very private sort of opening viewing for him, and he's smashing. He ticks all the boxes. He's great to look at. Apart from not winning a graded race, he's top class, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's obviously, you know, we know we've got a hard job to make him in this industry, but I have to say that the interest has been very good. And as I said to you when you did the viewing for me, you need to see him. And when you see him, you'll send him a mare. So I think his numbers are going to be good. We're hoping for 40 mares. If I can get him 40 mares, I think Hendrik and I have done a great job. Shareholders in VAR and Oratoria have come to the party with a deal to keep them involved. And we'll see. He started teasing his mares already now, getting into the groove, learning the ropes, and he seems he has the right zest for the job. So let's hope and pray that all goes well. And anybody who's looking for services, contact either I or Hendrik, because in that horse's case, he's young. He must get as many as he possibly can.
And you've put up a very, very good deal for him as well. It's very inviting.
Yeah, his service fee, you know, just how do you structure a horse's service fee like that? I don't know. But what we decided was to set him at 7, but we don't want the money now until you register that foal. So you've got 2 years, really and truly. The money is not actually the issue. I need the mares. And hopefully you'll be so stunned and beautiful foals this time next year when we're doing videos about his first babies that we'll then get more mares. I know what it's like. We all got the same issues with stallions. All the breeders on the same page. There's very small top end, then there's a bulk in the middle, and then there's the newbies and the sort of maybes, and he falls into that category. So hopefully we'll get somebody who likes what they see, is a fan of VAR, can't get to VAR, maybe they'll support Talk of the Town. And he's a big horse, so I think there are many mares that will suit him physically. Yeah.
Fine looking horse, and obviously was running really well on the track, and something to get excited about. And I think that incentive really does help through these difficult times.
Yeah, I think we've got to do. I think the breeders have been very good at looking after each other, and for me, it's a very good deal, and I think he'll get good support. And with Oratoria, it's an exceptional deal. So anybody snoozes this year with Oratoria, you know, I really can't help them anymore. They've got to wake up now, but we have to find the right man. If anybody needs any help with that, give me a call. We'll help them and guide them in the right direction.
Yeah, well, we wish you best of luck for the breeding season and for the covering season. Yeah. Obviously, it's a busy time. But talking of busy times, it's extremely busy in the restaurant this morning. Lots of people coming in for breakfast. And although you can't serve wine yet, you've got some other special things happening. Yeah, I think we've had to think out the box. You know, I mean, wine sales, you know, are crippling for a wine estate like this. But the restaurant has tweaked the menu a little bit. They had a lovely breakfast this morning. We've got a small wedding today. And in the wine tasting department, we've decided to go with a little bit more of a gift theme. So we've got gifts, soaps, candles, oils, beautiful little flowers, feinbos type plants to buy, and a coffee barista now with some fancy coffees, and with a barista to do the coffee of your choice and a little snack menu. So if you don't want a big lunch, you want a nice cup of coffee, a little muffin, we can do it on wine tasting side now, which will just bring a different crowd into the onto the farm now, because we have definitely lost footpath with the wine sales. But we're all in the same boat, so we've had to see what we can do to trade out of it. Well, it's quite a buzz in here this morning. I can even hear the coffee brewing, so no, it's lovely. But also on the track, Aventure had a good season.
We had a very good season, you know. We had some Group 1 winners, Group 2nds, a great season for us from limited mares, and we were only running 30 mares, so it's huge. When you hold your own against these guys running 3 or 4, 300 mares, 200 mares, it's a hard job, but beautiful mares and a great season on this track. Jockeys did well, horses did well, so let's strive for a better 2021.
Yeah, so you've got the top apprentice again.
Yeah, Luke, he's a wonderful little guy, and he came to help me at the sales with Grandpa Ormond. He's a great ambassador for and he's so keen and so energetic. And him and MJ down here, yeah, great team.
Yeah, well, you really are keeping things ticking over nicely through difficult times. But lovely to be here again. Best of luck, Pippa, and we'll see you again soon for see the foals, I guess.
See some babies come back.
Always good to be here at Avonshire. They had a good sale, as I said. They're foaling, so we will be back here, I'm sure, in the next couple of months to see some lovely foals on the ground. And we wish them all the best for the covering season with VAR, Oratoria, and Talk of the Town.
Well, once known as probably the best miler in the country, Socrates, he is now also resident, and he's gone to stud out at Sandown Stud. James Armitage is going to be standing him. He's very excited about the prospects of this individual. He's a multiple Group 1 winner, and he certainly was affected, having a great turn of foot as well. We chatted to Mike de Kock earlier in one of the Breeding to Win shows. This time out, we chat to James Armitage, who tells us what he's expecting from Socrates in the paddocks.
Socrates, you had a great reputation on the race course. Of course, he was raced by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, and Mike de Kock is going to come and stand here at Sandown Stud. And with me is James Armitage to fill us in. James, morning.
Morning, Fee.
Socrates, he's arrived. He looks fantastic, and he's going to be standing here at Sandown Stud. It's exciting times.
Yeah, Fee, it's very exciting to have a triple Group 1 winner here, and he ran second in 4 Group 1s. He travelled well. He was fresh when he arrived here on Wednesday, and on Thursday we let him out and he was really freshing, so it was lovely to see.
Yeah, he looks fantastic, and of course he's Australian bred and good breeding by all accounts.
Yes, he is well bred. His father, Epaulet, was a sprinting sire, and in his dam side there's a lot of speed. So Socrates himself won from 1160 to 1800 metres. He got beaten in 2 Group 1s over 2000 metres. So he's got a huge amount of class. He's from a speed family, but he went 2,000 metres.
Yeah, his race record was good. As you said, he's a 3 times Grade 1 winner. And of course, he was just bumped off a couple of times by his stablemate, Hawama. And it didn't disgrace in the July, but obviously a bit far.
Yeah, I think it was a bit far. And maybe he's starting to also think about the breeding shed. But he's had an exceptional career. I mean, in his first 15 starts, when he was beaten, he was never beaten more than 1.85 lengths, except in the Natal Guineas, when he was drawn wide and he just didn't have the luck of running. But I mean, otherwise he's been so consistent in all his starts. So he's been an amazing horse to follow.
Yeah, when we chatted to Mike de Kock, he speaks very highly of this horse.
Yes, I haven't seen that, but I know he's rated him, and I've seen a couple of his excerpts where he's just said he's freakish.
Yeah, I know, smashing looking horse, and obviously has all the ability, and by all accounts should be well supported here at Sandown.
Yeah, I hope so, Fee. It's amazing, like I said earlier, to have a horse of such excellence, and let's hope that the breeders will see that and support him.
And Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum stays as the 100% owner of him?
Yes, he hasn't been syndicated. And I must thank Angus Gold and Sheikh Hamdan for allowing Socrates to stay in South Africa, because, I mean, with a horse of this form, he could easily travel overseas and campaign very well. So they've made the decision to stand him here, and they have a few mares here which they will obviously send to Socrates. So he's got a good start from that aspect.
It's very exciting to have him in Cape Town. There's a few new kids on the block, so going forward, the breeding camp's going to be very exciting. Yeah,
I mean, having new stallions is always very exciting. So it's now getting them in foal, and then in 11 months' time, seeing what the foals look like and how they grow into yearlings, and then it's obviously on the racecourse, which is where it all counts.
And what would he be standing for?
He's standing for 20,000 Rand live foal, and if people would like to send numbers, they must please contact me. We're open to negotiations and discounts for numbers.
Yeah, certainly worth every penny of that with his race record and his breeding.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. And I mean, if you think, he went from 1,100 to 2,000 metres in all intents and purposes, it'll be exciting to see what he throws. Is he going to throw a sprinter type? Will they come out and be quick as 2-year-olds, or will they have his performance and we'll see them as a 4-year-old?
And he hasn't been here very long, since the July, and he's already letting down really well, isn't he? He looks good. Yeah,
he does look well, and he's eating well, and he's enjoying his paddock, which is always lovely to see in the mornings.
Yeah, well, best of luck, James. Thanks for having us this morning. Really, really excited to see this horse's progeny, because he's a bit special and he's got lots of class.
Fee, thank you very much, and thank you for coming out to see us and see Socrates.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing Socrates foals. He's going to surely produce some beautiful ones, and we all know how good Socrates was on the racetrack. He went out in the July, was possibly a little bit far for him, but he is a 3-time Group 1 winner and worth every penny, standing here at Sandown Stud with James Armitage.
Next up, we're going to be going to the Drakenstein stud. And Andrew Bond got some great additions for Gold Standard. And let's catch up about the son of Trippy and his early days at stud.
This tells the story of a leader of his generation as a 3-year-old, sired by a great sire out of the daughter of a truly great racehorse. He just has that X factor in terms of combining looks, pedigree and ability.
Gold Standard rallies back along the inside. Gold Standard comes back strongly. Gold Standard beats Edict of None, Table Bay. They were then followed by New Dawn, Alpha Hard further back. Behind that, William Longsword, Our Mate, the Slade was in behind those.
When Gold Standard won the Selangor Cup, I immediately thought, well, hang on, this is obviously a good horse. Let's look at his pedigree. His dam, Olympic Dam, was sired by the great Model Man. The first horse ever to win R1 million in South Africa, and a top-class stallion. Out of a filly, Olympic Duel, who I sincerely believe is the greatest race filly this country has bred. Olympic Duel was this big, powerful, good-looking filly. She was champion 3-year-old, champion older female. She ran in the Durban July 3 times. She ran a tremendous second as a 3-year-old filly, and at her next 2 starts, had the races been at weight for age, she would have walked them. She carried crushing burdens and finished right on top of them. Olympic Duel by Dancing Champ, champion sire out of Mashka, a multiple champion broodmare, who besides Olympic Duel bred her full brother Dancing Duel, who won the Durban July and was voted champion 3-year-old of South Africa. And Mashka by New South Wales. Now, New South Wales has claims to being the most dominant stallion in South Africa since World War II. He produced a staggering 22% stakes winners from foals in a country where 10 or 12% stakes winners is a very, very high mark. What's very striking is how similar Gold Standard is to New South Wales. That's where he got that head.
Up the middle we find William Longsword, then comes Gold Standard, Singapore Sting, Edict of Nantes, Deep Rod, Table Bay. Gold Standard is bearing him down with each and every stride. The post looming, William Longsword from Gold Standard.
He ran a tremendous race in the Guineas. He came storming through late and he was beaten half a length by a very, very good horse in William Longsword, who was immediately retired to start at the end of his 3-year-old career. His 2 top performances, beating Edict of Nantes, who paid him a big compliment by winning the Cape Derby. And then he's run to William Longsword, and behind him was a lot of very good horses, including Singapore Sling, a big winner in Hong Kong, Edict of Nantes again. Top horsemen have said to me he's a dead ringer for his father, just a bit bigger and possibly even better looking, which I find quite remarkable because I've never heard anybody describe Trippy as anything but the most beautiful horse they've seen. He really is a stallion type, a magnificent animal, and his personality, his character, his magnificent head, his power, his symmetry. God put him on this earth to be a stallion.
Right, Dynasty's been setting the tracks on fire. His progeny are winning at every level, from maidens all the way through to Group 1 contests. And yes, he's got another son at stud, and a beautifully bred individual too. He was an expensive yearling. He's called Horizon, and he's standing out at the Hemel and Ardor stud with David Hepburn Brown. He is a phenomenal looking individual, and he certainly represented some cracking form as well on the racecourse. He was highly regarded by Mike and Candice Bass, and they certainly are putting their money behind this individual making it at stud. We go out and chat to Justin Vermaak, who's managing the horse, and obviously stands out at David Hepburn Brown. And we caught a couple of new still images as well with him, and you can see just how well he's let down.
Horizon stands out at Hemel and Ardor stud. He's a smashing looking individual, and we'll be seeing his first foals on the ground this season. But Justin Vermaak's here to tell me more. Horizon, he's very well bred, isn't he, by Dynasty, and of course out of a good mare as well.
Yes, so his pedigree is fantastic, as we know. He's a great specimen as well, sold for record price as a yearling. And I think the exciting thing, obviously, if we look at the stallion logs and statistics over the last few years, the South African bred horses have really been coming to the fore. And this season we saw a lot of Dynasty sons really, make their mark on the racetracks with their progeny. Active War had multiple group place type of horses. In the Group 1, I know Paul Matchett's got that smart filly of his, and obviously Futura has started off fantastically well. He was a horse that we looked at a lot of his progeny and bought a lot of them for my clients when he hadn't had runners yet. He always had very, very good looking offspring at the sales, and it's been good to see him step out with some really well performed juveniles this season, including that group winner they had on July Day. And I think that there's going to be a lot more of them come through as they now turn 3 and get into the 3-year-old classics, because that's what his progeny really should be going for. And obviously Legislate as well had a very small crop because of his fertility issues, and he came out with non-stop impressive runners through the Cape season particularly. Obviously a lot of them ended up being based in the Cape, and there have been some really, really impressive Legislates winning as well. So Dynasty really doing the job with his sons at stud, and we're hoping that Horizon can follow suit with that. He was pretty well supported in his first season. He covered some really good mares. He got some stakes winners like Sensible Lover, who was a really good race filly, and the Drockenstein studs sent Arabian Pearl, who was placed in the Willavington, also related to Victory Moon, good female line. So he also covered Bangor Bay from Hemel and Ardor, who bred the Group 1 Derby winner that was ill-fated of Wayo Moorings last year. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to run after that, but his name was Samurai Warrior, a very good horse. So he covered really good group of mares, not huge in numbers, but this season the bookings have been coming through nicely, and Hemel and Ardor sending a big bunch of mares, as well as the shareholders all sending their allocation as well. So he's got enough numbers to do fairly well, and obviously we look forward to seeing the progeny this year, and we'll be taking people out to see the foals and the babies as they grow through the season, and we got high hopes for him.
Yeah, and of course on the mare side, Lermitad's related to Silvano, so that Silvano Dynasty connection is going to be fantastic.
Yes, it is. Look, he's got that. It's a fantastic female line that we've seen represented in South Africa through Santa Clara, and obviously Horizon himself, and Sanskrift and a few other runners, but being out of the sister to Silvano, being by Dynasty out of the full sister to Silvano, really has that mix of probably the two most dominant classic sires in the country in the last 2 decades. And he carries the blood of them both, which is a huge accolade. And I've watched the Vodacom Durban July replay of his many times. He was very unlucky not to win it, but just to be in the photo finish, because he had his ground taken up at a very crucial stage. So that was very unlucky, and if he had more luck in running, we could be talking about a Durban July winner. So he showed he had Group 1 potential. He ran third in the Daily News behind Edict of Nantes and Al Sahem, who were both exported afterwards. And he campaigned in the top level, and with a pedigree like this, and obviously his smashing physique, he's an outstandingly good-looking horse. And with the support he's getting, hopefully he's definitely got a fair chance at producing some runners, and hopefully he does so.
Yeah, as you say, he went for a lot of money back in 2015 at the Cape Premier Yearling Sale, and Mike Bass obviously has a really good eye for a horse, but he loved Horizon, he really did, and you know, he would have gone a lot further, and obviously gelding wasn't an option, it was always the plan to go to stud, but he loved this horse, he thought he had tons of ability, and everything's in the right place on looks as well.
Yes, and you know, obviously he sold for 5.2, which at that time was the record, and I remember the sale very well because I was at Main Chance and we had a group of spectacular colts that year, and we sold I think 3 or 4 of the top 5 or 6 top lots, top sellers, and the best team were always they were going to buy this horse, and that was the year that there was Mr. Du Toit who came and bought 2 horses. Live Life was the one, the top filly. She ended up being group performed and a stakes winner and went off to stud. And this colt, and that was his splash into the racing scene, so he came to buy the best colt and the best filly. And this colt was pretty close to the best colt off that sale. And if he continued racing, if he was probably gelded, which he should have been because he started getting quite heavy and stallion like you, there's no doubt he would have been campaigning in Group 1s for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the first foals and standing for a fee of?
Yeah, he's at 8,000. Obviously, it's negotiable. We do like to support people who send more than one service. He did stand at 8,000 last year, and we've kept it at that fee this year. Very affordable, obviously, and that did allow him to get a lot of outside bookings from those breeders who are in that budget for certain parts of their mares, and he'll stay at that mark this season. And obviously, anyone who wants to do any repeat bookings that supported him last year, we can negotiate on a reduced fee this year as well, and any multiple bookings as well can be open for discounts. So just got to get hold of David at Himmel and Ada or myself, and we can, you know, get the best deal for the breeder.
That's a very good deal, isn't it, for what looks like he's a lovely stallion, he's well bred and obviously had the ability, so we wish you all the best with him, and I look forward to seeing his first foal.
Absolutely. When he starts having foals on the ground, we'll be supplying all the imagery, the photos and the videos, and I'm sure we will be putting it out there in all forms of media, and probably be back on the show again, and then everyone can just keep in the loop with how his progeny is coming along.
Yeah, I look forward to that. So thank you very much, Justin.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, Horizon stands out at Himmel and Ada stud. A really good deal for a smashing-looking stallion, and of course he had the ability as well, so looking forward to seeing his foals on the ground very shortly.
Right, that's a wrap from our Stallion edition. We hope you enjoyed seeing some of the new signs that are going to be available to you as breeders. And we also remind all breeders to send in the pictures of their foals, especially new foals and foals from freshman size, and send them in to fee@breedingtowin.com, and we'll get those pictures up on the show for you, just to give those stallions some help in terms of showing the individuals what they have on the ground. We look forward to getting those from you as well, and don't forget, our next show will be Stallion Edition 2, and we'll be bringing you a whole host of individual stallions from various farms around the country. From us here in the Breeding to Win team, we wish you a very good night.